I've lived off of this for 4 months, and I know what you're wondering. What are my bowel movements like? Hi everyone, my name is Chris and welcome to Tread Talks. Soylent is basically engineered food. Food that's been designed to supposedly give you everything your body needs to survive. Now it comes in a few different forms, but the one that I've lived off of for about 4 months is called Soylent Original. It used to be called Soylent 2.0 until they introduced a couple of new flavors. And basically I get the same questions from people. What does it taste like? Are there any side effects? Does it keep you full? And some of my closer friends have actually ventured to ask me about my bowel movements. So to address all of those things, here's my review of Soylent Original. So let's start with how it tastes and how it feels in your mouth. The best that I can describe it is if you took a bowl of Cheerios and put some milk in it and blended it up and made it ever slightly so sweeter. That's the taste of Soylent. Now everyone I've shared it with has pretty much the same reaction. It's not bad. I couldn't live off of it, but it's better than I thought it would be. With the exception of my sisters, who basically have Soylent cravings from time to time. And they tell you that it's best if you drink it cold, that somehow that's a better flavor, but really, to be honest, it works for me at room temperature. And if you've had the Soylent powder in the past and you're worried about grittiness, I can tell you that this goes down a lot smoother because it's actually mixed in a factory setting rather than you trying to do it at home with a NutriBullet. Now, if you're going to live off this stuff, you might be wondering whether it can keep you full. For me, I'm pursuing a 2,000 calorie a day diet, which means 5 bottles spread out in 2.5-hour increments from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. The drink can keep me full for about 2 hours before I get hungry, so those final 30 minutes in between meals, especially if I'm not doing something and keeping myself busy, can actually be quite a struggle to get through. At the same time, there's never any sort of bloatedness or feeling like you overate right after you drank it, and you have energy throughout the day, or at least I have. So what happens in the first couple of weeks after you start drinking Soylent? Well, for me, it was a pretty good transition. I was eating pretty poorly when I started, and so I immediately started losing weight. In addition to that, my bowel movements became more regular, and much to my wife's delight, my level of farting and the intensity of the smell of my farts went down significantly. It actually got to the point where I could fart in the car with the windows up, and she didn't even notice. But what happens when those first few weeks of Soylent turn into months? Well, as you might imagine, it turned into a bit of a routine for me. My eating was regular, my energy level was regular, everything felt pretty straightforward, and food became really predictable. And even better, when I was in restaurants, at social situations, I wasn't salivating at the food being consumed around me. It really became part of my new normal. And there was one break day that I allowed myself where I could eat anything I wanted, and I found that at the end of the day I was actually craving Soylent, especially when the farting returned. And from a health perspective, since it's designed to give your body everything it needs, I've probably been eating better over the course of the last 4 months than I have in my entire life. And the high blood pressure that I had when I was close to 300 pounds is now normal. At the same time, there are a few downsides to consider, especially if you're going to be using Soylent to replace a lot of the meals in your life. The first is the social factor. You're going to be that weird person who's drinking their meal while everyone else is eating. You're going to have to talk about it with a lot of people who are just either curious or kind of strangely judgmental about it. And this is why many people use Soylent basically to replace the meals that they're eating alone, or that they're eating on the go. Another downside is the sheer bulk of the bottles. Since I'm replacing basically every meal, that's about 144 bottles a month, so you have to figure out where you're going to store it. But the nice thing is that every bottle has a 2-year shelf life, which means you don't necessarily have to refrigerate it or consume it really quickly. Third, if you want your food to be organic, GMO-free, kosher, or gluten-free, then this is not for you because it's none of those things. But on the plus side, it's vegan, nut-free, lactose-free, and it's made in the good old US of A. And then finally, there's a small nitpick about the bottles. It comes in a plastic bottle that's wrapped in another thin sheet of plastic that you have to rip through, and that can be difficult, and I've actually cut my fingers on it when I've tried to open it really quickly. So overall, if you're weirded out by the concept of engineered food or food that's been designed for you, then Soylent is certainly not for you. On the other hand, I would totally recommend Soylent to anyone who's trying to save time on food, make the process a little bit simpler, or anyone who eats a lot of meals by themselves or on the go. It's certainly a lot healthier than the fast food that you would pick up on your way to a meeting or that you'd eat at your desk. Or if you're trying to make a drastic change in your life and you're looking for a really simple way to count calories and track how much you're consuming, that's what I did and that's what's worked for me so far. So that's my review of the original version of Soylent Drink. But if you have any questions that I didn't answer, put them in the comments and I'll reply. And in the meantime, go ahead and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers and it'd be great if you were part of that group. Beyond that, thanks for watching and have a great day.